What if I told you that you could take a $20 purchase and potentially turn it into $1,250? Would you do it? I sure hope the answer is yes, because today I'm going to show you how you are going to do that. And the machine that we're going to be using for today's project is going to be my cute little xTool F2. This thing right here may be small, but she is mighty. The blade that we're going to be using today that is going to give us over $1,000 profit is going to be these small little keychains. There's two in the pouch right here, and these things right here are going to be the moneymaker. And just in case you are a skeptic and you don't think that there is potential money-making abilities with this small little machine, I pulled up some listings on Etsy because I just want you to know that I am serious. This is going to be a serious moneymaker. So just look at this listing right here. We have a keychain and it is only one dog tag. My keychain has two. And currently right now, it's in 7 cards. This listing right here has had 16 views in the last 24 hours, $25 a piece. Kind of similar to what we have here. And last but not least, what I've pulled up is this right here, which I honestly think is like a pretty good direct comparison to what we have. In 5 carts, $20 plus $5 shipping, so $25. Each one of these keychains we can sell for $25. I bought a pack of 30 for only $20. This is going to be wild. So for today's project, what we're going to do is we are going to head over into the xTool studio, and I'm going to show you how quickly we are going to start engraving with the xTool F2, because I think I may blow your mind. Let's go. Before we get started, I just want to note that I do have my xTool F2 plugged in and turned on. So what we're going to do is we are over in the xTool Studio software. We are just going to add a new project. Now what we need to do is we need to connect to our F2. So what I'm going to do is just click on my F2 and press connect. Now that we have the machine connected, you could see that I already have a live picture of what is inside my F2 right now. And clearly it's nothing. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these little keychains, the circles. We're going to start with the circles first, and we are going to insert that into the F2. Now, when you get these packs of 30, they will come already assembled. What you're going to have to do, the easiest way to make this all happen for you, is going to be to take apart these two things. It's really simple and easy. Even if you have long nails like me, you're still going to be able to take them off with ease, and they'll go back on really easy as well. Yes, you could engrave both of these things at the same time with the machine. However, the alignment of it may be a little bit more difficult than it would be just to have them all separated into circles, because what we're going to do is we are going to engrave all the circles all at once. Then we're going to do these smaller rectangles. We'll assemble them later, but this is the quickest way that you're going to be able to batch make all of these keychains. All right, so over at the machine, do you see these 2 dots right here? The first thing we have to do is an autofocus on our circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our circle and I'm going to put it where the 2 dots are right there. It is okay that they are not overlapping right now, because when we go over into the xTool, what we want to do is we want to do an auto measure. That is going to make sure that our machine is properly focused on the material that we're going to be engraving. Awesome. Now that that's done, you're going to be able to see that we have a live picture of what is inside our machine, and there is our circle. However, that's not going to be its final resting spot, but we do have an aimed measure, which is A-okay. So back over here at the machine, what I'm going to do just to help with alignment is I'm going to put my guide tool down into the base just like this. And I'm going to actually turn this upside down, and I am going to put this right here in the L. Just so you get a better picture of what that looks like, I'm going to keep this upside down, and I'm going to put it into the L bracket right there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to refresh the bed one more time. So coming over here, and we are just going to do a little camera shot, and you can see that now our thing has moved and we have that L bracket. What we need to do now is figure out what in the world are we going to be engraving on these things. I actually have a SVG file that I've already created, so I'm just going to drag and drop it into the xTool Studio. These are going to be both of the pieces that we're going to engrave. The best is yet to come is going to go on the circle. And then for the small little rectangle, we are going to be doing the 2026 on the rectangle. So I'm going to right click this and I'm going to ungroove. Now this is upside down. So this right here also has to be upside down. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to do it like that. Just make it upside down. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this smaller and I'm going to fit this onto my blank. Now, here's the greatest part of this entire thing that I think is really cool is this machine actually has a framing button. Sometimes the camera, while I do think that the camera is very accurate, sometimes it can be off. So in order to ensure that we have proper alignment, what you want to do is press framing. And then over the machine, you are going to see this blue rectangle. So I think I need to make the rectangle just a little bit smaller. So I'm going to take this and just make this smaller. And as I make this smaller and change things around, you will see at the machine that the square is moving and getting smaller and just moving up and down, left, right, wherever I move it. Now that we know that we have perfect alignment here, we can just stop framing. All right, what we need to do is we need to select our settings. So I am going to come over here into material. And I am going to be doing the stainless steel dog tag setting. The keychains that we have are stainless steel, so it should be the same exact setting. Now, if you didn't want to use xTool's predetermined settings, what you could do is create your own test grid. By clicking on this right here, you could make your own test grid by coming over here to these 4 dots. And you would do material test array. Now, when you do that, unfortunately, you probably will be wasting one of your blanks because you're going to have to do a test grid on it. I'm going to trust the fact that xTool's settings that they give me, the 90 power and the 700 speed, are good speed. We shall see after we get done with the first one. If I don't like it, then that's fine. I'll flip it over and do a test grid, okay? But now that we have that, what I want to do is I want to press process. And this right here is going to take a total of 6 seconds. Whopping 6. So we are going to press start. Then over at the machine, there's this button that's right here. You just want to press it and it's going to engrave. And just like that, the engraving is done. So I'm going to pick this up and just show it to you. I actually really like the way that this turned out. The font that I've chosen for this is it's called My Type font is what it's called. But I really like it because it kind of gives off that stamped metal look, but it's actually engraved on there, not stamped metal. So now that we have our one done, we don't have to go back to the software at all. Actually, what we can do is we can take our circles, we can line it up just like what we did before, and then press the side button and it will start the engraving process again. So there is number 2. Just to show you how quick and easy this is, we can line this up, double tap the side, and it engraves. Move this over, double tap, and it engraves. Can you believe how fast this is? This is crazy. Now, xTool does sell a conveyor heater, which you can use, and it would make this process a little bit more automatic. The reason why I'm not doing it for this project, and to be honest with you, I don't know if I'm actually in love with the conveyor heaters anyways, because there is a little bit more user error with that, because you are depending on the camera to be fully focused and know like where to place everything. And it's just one of those things that I have far more control doing this and making sure things are lined up by myself. Like I feel like I'm pretty good about lining things up versus like depending on a computer to do it for me. I have in the past made like a bunch of wooden keychains before, and I was like 50 keychains that I made, I probably had like 10 mess ups. And I love at this point, I love having more profit than wasted items. So I just like doing this at the end of the day. I mean, this is so easy. And 6 seconds, 6 seconds per tag is really not that bad. Now, can you imagine what it's going to be like when we have these small little rectangles? That is going to go by so quick. So quick. We are halfway done. My gosh. This process is flying by. I love it. You know, and to make this process go a little bit faster, but the setup process honestly would be longer, would be to create a jig. A jig would work, honestly, if you plan on doing these like all the time. If you were to want to make these specific keychains and you wanted to do it year round or you were making thousands of them, I feel like making a jig may help your setup process because you could do multiple engravings out at the same time. Now, it does increase the engraving time because you're doing more instead of just one at a time. So that there is a drawback there. But honestly, I feel like this is totally okay for me to just engrave this little thing 6 seconds per tag and just be done with it, you know? There's no need that I have to like go and cut out a jig on, you know, my laser out of wood or acrylic or even like using my 3D printer to create like a 3D jig or even buying one for that matter. Like I feel like this is just so much more convenient just doing it like this. 6 seconds per, what is it? 6 seconds? I'm doing 30 right now. 180 seconds. All right, there we go. We are done with our little circles 180 seconds later. Wow! All right, now that we are done doing that, and actually it says that the engravings take 5 seconds instead of 6, so that's crazy. But now that we're done doing that, we get to focus on the small little baby things. So before you press finish on the software, what I'm going to do is come over here. We don't have to do another auto measure because this is the same thickness as this. So I'm just going to lay this over here to the far left. Just like this, I'm going to utilize my L guide far left. Okay, this one's going to be so small. Then I'm going to press finish on my computer and I'm just going to drag this out of the way. And we are going to update the refresh background because we've got this little baby thing. Okay, this needs to be tilted over to the side. So I'm going to tilt this over and then obviously make this real tiny. Now, two things. One, we could engrave a bunch more of these by stacking them next to each other. I'm not going to do that. I just feel like it's going to be easier for me to like switch in and out just one versus doing a whole bunch. I mean, if you want to do that, you can, but honestly, I think it's probably going to take no time. It's really, for me, it's okay just doing one at a time. But we all are also not going to necessarily trust the camera. So we're going to press the framing button. And you can see it's right there. So I think it looks really good. We probably could make it just a little bit bigger. So I'm just going to come over here and just make it just a tad bit bigger. So it's not so teeny tiny. And you can see when I do that, the box on the machine is actually moving as I am moving it around. So I'm getting like, it's almost like a live preview. There is a small delay, but honestly, it's not that much. All right, so I like where we have this place, right? So I'm just going to stop framing. And I am not going to change over the settings because I like the engrave settings that we've already chosen, that the machine chose for us. So I'm going to press process. And the new time for this is 2 seconds. So 5 for the circle, 2 for this, 7 seconds altogether to create this keychain. That's crazy. All right, so we're going to press start and then we're going to repeat the same process. Let me take all of these over to here. We're going to press the button at the side of the machine. Let that do its engraving before we switch it out to the next one. Look at how well that engraving took. That looks so good. So I'm going to do that the same thing. We're just going to lay these in, double tap, Radius in, double tap. I did forget to mention that this setting that we're using is the infrared setting. So what this machine has is both the diode laser and the infrared laser, and they do pretty much two very different things. The infrared laser is the best used for engraving like metal. So obviously what we're doing here is stainless steel, but you could also easily engrave on gold, like real gold jewelry if you wanted to, or like real silver. That platinum should work, brass should work as well. Like all different types of metals, you should be able to engrave with the infrared. Now, the diode laser will be greatly used for when you want to cut something. So if you wanted to cut on wood, maybe even acrylic, you could do leather. You could cut leather as well. So there's definitely a lot of uses. So while this machine is on the smaller side, this honestly, for me, I feel like this is like the best like starter machine because you don't have to spend a whole lot. And while this machine is on the smaller side, it still can do a whole lot, you know? Uh, Possibilities are definitely endless with this. And also, if you get the conveyor feeder, it will also cut longer materials too. So if you have like a longer, thinner piece of wood, you could definitely just put that on the feeder and it would cut it out. But I personally love using this machine for smaller projects like this because it's so much easier to work. I honestly think the bigger you get, the more complicated things get. The smaller machines are like far easier to use. Plus this one, I love this one because it has a camera. The original F1, this is the F2. The original F1 was very similar to this. The only difference is that did not have a camera. And while it wasn't impossible to use because it did have that framing button, I still think that the F2 is far easier to use because of the camera. Now, we did utilize the framing button just to double check our work, but it's still easier to use than the original F1. But if you have an opportunity to buy the F1, I definitely think that you should buy that. If you're like, the F1's cheaper than the F2, then the F1, because I think, again, this is just a great starter machine. All right, we are almost done. And there we have it. All of our engraving are done so quickly. Wow. Now it's time to assemble them back together, but I did just want to show you the finished engravings because, oh my gosh, these turned out so good. So all we have to do is take our jump rings. I loved these jump rings because they were flat. I think the flat ones make it feel more like high end versus the round ones. But we're just going to pop on both of our little things. There is our keychain, and just to zhuzh it up a little bit, I definitely don't think you have to do this, but you know, it just increases the quality of your product. Is I have these little fake faux leather bags, and here is what it's looking like. We're just going to plop that into the bag and then close this up. Now, here's the deal, my friends. These bags right here, you honestly could engrave on these too if you wanted to. So if you wanted to add in like an additional customization of a personally engraved, I wanted to bring you up so we could chat about this. If you wanted to add in like an upgrade personalization of like their name or something like that here on the front of it, you totally could. And I would charge extra for that. So it would be $25 for this right here with the bag, and then they could upgrade to a personalized engraving on here, and you could just like plop it in there. Engraving, it would probably take you no time, just like everything else that we've done today. And you could have, and you could even be making more money with these things. I love it. All right, so let's break down the profits here because that is the most important part if you plan on selling things with your laser that you can create a business over. All right, I went ahead and pulled up on the xTool website the xTool F1, which remember is the older version of the F2 that we used for today's project. The F1 is very similar to the F2. The only difference is that it doesn't have a camera. But look at this sale price. This price right here is $1,000. If you were to sell every single one of these right here, remember, we can make $1,250. In one project, you could potentially pay off your machine like that. And just to show you, uh, the F2, which is the one that we used, the sale price for that is $1,419. So while you won't be able to, like already out of the gate, be in the green with your laser purchase, you're still not that far away from creating a profit with your machine. And these machines last a really long time. So even if you didn't give them the green for your first time, you can still be making a ton of money with your machine as you learn how to use it and you keep moving forward in selling your items. And just as a reminder, these keychains right here were sold in a pack of 30 for $20, making each one of these 67 cents. I think these things right here are like 10 cents per bag. Remember though, that engrave time only took in total less than 4 minutes for all 30 keychains, making this a huge profit margin because you're not having to do a whole lot for a really long time and you can just keep on creating, making this a huge money maker. All right, my friends, I sure hope I gave you a really good idea of how you could be making money with your laser, and I'll see you next time.